Right.
Start the recording again. Okay, so till now we were seeing the data accessing part of it. So now we will see the data creation part of it. So data creation part, I guess most of you know the create table statement and the table names. Okay, and you can add all your attributes inside, whatever the IDs, names, everything. Okay, and you can also mention the data type of it. So for example, name, care, whatever the size you want, 100 or 200 or whatever. So these are the columns which you are trying to create for a table, and also the keys. So there is a primary key. Add it like this. So there are two keys which is common. One is primary key and the other one is foreign key. Okay, primary key is nothing but for in SQL, for each table there should be a particular column which has to be used as a reference. So those reference column, we call it as a primary key. So it is, so for example, you may think whether you mandatorily need to create a primary key or not. It is not. You can still create a table without a primary key, but it is ideal to create a table with a primary key. Okay, and the second one, primary key, you can consider like the focal point of a table. Okay, so focal point of a table. The second one is a foreign key. Foreign key is nothing but a reference of another table. Okay, so for example, let us take a scenario actually. Where is that? Let me copy. So these three tables. So let me show an example of foreign key. Okay. So there are three tables created here. I mean, I didn't create, but these are the creation statement of all the three tables. And you can see user ID is an attribute and it is an integer, and we are considering it as a primary key and not null. So we will come back to the conditions in a little while, but focus on the foreign key now. So these are the different attribute of those tables. Okay. So in the tweet table, there is something called foreign key, and we are considering the user ID as a foreign key, which is a column of the table tweet, which is referencing users table user ID. Okay, what we are saying is tweet table has a foreign key user ID, which is a link to a table called users of a column user ID. Okay, so these two table has a linkage point of user ID. Okay, for example, if you are trying to get data of from the both the tables, you can use an inner join statement, and you can use the user ID as a common point as a condition to join the two tables. So in a similar way, there is something called comments table also created, and this is also having a foreign key of user ID, which is referencing user ID of users table. Okay, so this is how foreign key uses. So foreign key is nothing but linking of another table or something. So foreign key is another thing which you need to be careful when you are creating a table. And why I'm saying careful, because in your project there is the second thing called integrity rules, define on delete or on update rule for the project. For in order to execute this functionality, join statement is important, and also the foreign key is very important. So if your foreign key is not given properly, those functionality will not work actually. So to answer on the same front, what is on update and on delete is nothing but, for example, we have three tables, right? Users, tweet, and comments. So you are deleting a tweet. Okay. Uh, so okay, let us take an example. So there are 5 users. Okay, 5 users has tweeted something on Twitter, and they have also commented on it. Okay, for example, I am a user. Harish is an user, and I am deleting a user actually. So on delete. So I am deleting Harish completely from the user table. But if your foreign key is not given properly, if your design is wrong, whatever tweet I am putting in the tweet table, it will still remain. Okay, but on delete, it has to delete all the tweets which I have posted once I delete my user also. So it is basically like once I delete the user, all the information from the table has to be gone, all the tables. This will be helpful in cases where, for consider an example, a manufacturing plant. Okay, there are like 100,000 employees or 50,000 employees, and they have executed a lot of manufacturing transactions. Okay, they would have signed here, they would have started some operations, everything would have been there. Once the employee changes a company or loses a job, those employee detail we have to remove from the tables. So if you use a normal design, we have to go to individual table and execute delete statement like, okay, delete the user, delete the user, delete the user, delete the user. In those cases, we can use on delete, so that whenever I am deleting the user from the main table, it will be deleted in all the from all the tables of the person's record. So that is the main reason why we use on delete or on the update statements. So that is the thing you have to be careful in case of a foreign or a primary key. And one more thing I need to tell is, uh, one second. So coming back to the table creation, so let us see the table creation of users. Okay, in that, user ID is the attribute and integer is the type. So we are saying it's an integer, and username is an attribute, and varchar is a type. Varchar is nothing but it's a string. We are saying it's a string of size 50. Okay, if you want a bigger size, you can just use it. And instead of character, we are using a varchar because of a reason which I forgot accidentally. But I guess it's okay. So for example, if you use a character 50, if I save a name, for example, again I will consider myself Harish. If I save a name in a string Harish, if I use a character 50, Harish will be saved in the first 6 spaces of an array, and the rest 40 spaces will also be saved in the memory if you use a character. If you use a var character, Harish will be saved in the first 6 and the array will be stopped. So the memory space will be saved. So that is a major difference. Fortunately, I remember. And there are other parameter types. For example, not null is there, which is like uh, which is similar to, you should have a data type for that, or you should have a data in that column. This we will consider an example. Okay, so for example, you are trying to open a bank account in a bank. Okay, so the bank manager will save all the details of you, and he will have a particular field called compulsory field. Okay, your passport number or a PAN card number or date of birth has to be compulsory. Okay, so if in case if you don't have a date of birth detail of a customer, you cannot create a bank account. So in that case, if you give not null, so the bank manager has to get a date of birth of you, and he has to fill it in order to fill your details in the database. So not null is like that. uh, so in this case, username is null For example, you can create a user ID 10 and you can leave the username in this case, or you can just add not null so that username has to be there mandatorily. So not null is like that. And there is something called unique, which will be useful in the bank scenario again. For example, 5 users are there and their account numbers are there. So whenever a assistant entering a bank account number into the system, there is a possibility he might change a number 5 instead of 6. So if you use a unique command, there is a possibility the error will be thrown like already a bank account number is there with the similar number. So in this case, we can avoid the situation of adding duplicacy into the database. So unique is there, and in this case, we are adding user ID integer primary key, not null. We can also use auto increment. So it will just increment automatically 1, 2, 3. You don't need to have a specific table for that. And we also have default. Okay. For example, we are again going to a bank office and we are filling some details, and there is a field called pin code. Okay. So default, we are in Lapranta. So bank person thinks you are in Lapranta apparently. So they will use a default keyword and use a value like, okay, 53850, I guess 53850 is a Lapranta pin code. So if the user doesn't give a pin code, default it will be added to the database. So default can be used. So these are the different data types which can be used in a table creation. So this is the creation part of it. So once you have created a table, you have other operations to follow. Okay. Other operation in the sense insert, update, delete, or drop, or truncate, update, or alter table, maybe. Yes. So as the name suggests, everything is like self-explanatory. So insert is nothing but after creating a table, you can just insert the value into the table. Alter the table is nothing but, uh, for example, control plus plus. So you can see user ID, username, verified followers are the column names of a table user. Okay. For example, you want to add time to this table, you can use alter table and you can just change the table structure. Okay. And update is nothing but updating the detail. For example, my birth date is given as wrong. Okay. In the system, they can use update statement to update the birth date of mine. And delete is again self-explanatory. Delete is nothing but you can just delete the records. If you use drop, delete and 1 second, delete and truncate is almost similar, but truncate will remove the details of a table completely. Delete will delete in a row by row basis. Okay. For example, if you have 100 rows of a data, if you use delete to delete all the 100 rows, it will take some more time compared to using a truncate. Truncate, if you use it, it will just wipe out. So delete you can use whenever you want to delete a particular row. Okay. Delete, for example, we have 5 customers. You want to delete only the customer 2 details. So you can use just delete a star from customer, star from some table where customer equal to this. Truncate you can use whenever you want to delete a complete table and you want to do it fast. There is another called drop. Drop is nothing but you are just dropping all the data of the table and also of the table structure. Okay. So using delete or truncate, you are just removing the data of the particular table. Okay. But if you are using drop, you are removing the data as well as removing the table structure also. For example, if I'm removing all the information, you can see on the left side where my cursor is. If you see the tweet is a table, and if you are using a drop, it will remove the contents of the tweet table, also the tweet table itself. So that is a different operations you can use when you are creating a table. And finally, there are some more options available, but I don't want to put too much onto the plate on the first session. If you are unsure of certain operation, you can just let me know, and we can go in details in the upcoming sessions. And before that, I want to tell two things actually. One thing is, again, coming to the project, so I want to tell about this one. So whoever has attended the previous course might have a doubt, like we have seen one to one, one to many, many to many, but nobody has seen 0 to 1 relationship. So this is a twist in the tale. So 0 to 1 is nothing but, for example, consider a family tree. Okay, there are customers and there is child. Okay, so I might have a child and some customers might not have a child. So those kind of a scenario, we can use 0 to n relationship. And in this case, there are employees in the department. Okay, and some of them are in the user group and some of them are not. That is the meaning it implies. So make sure you note it down on that. And apart from that, I will just open the first homework and give some hint for the homework. uh, so basically, if you have seen already, the first one has 5 queries, and all the queries you have to use it based on the time and the date and time, basically, for all the queries. Okay, in PostgreSQL, there is a command called extract. Okay, which you can have it, and there is command called day of the week. Okay, these two will be crucial in your homework, so you just try to utilize these two. Maybe I can show you the extract because I already have the purchase command actually. So it is basically, it will extract. Yes. So for example, so for example, 12/4/2000 is what in that database. So 4 is a month, for example. So I can just use an extract command and I can use month or I can use year. So using this, it will be easy for you. And the other one which I was talking is DOW, a day of the week. So if you use DOW, I guess Sunday will be marked as 0 or 1, I guess. Yes, Sunday will be marked as 0 and Monday will start as 1. Okay, so this condition will be useful for your fourth and fifth part of the homework, if I am not wrong. Okay, and if you, there is one more thing I have seen but I never used, ISODU or something. In this case, if you use Monday will be 1 and Sunday will be 7 actually. So based on which function you are going to use, you can just use this both. So this is a hint for the first homework which you are supposed to do it. I guess you have a lot of time, but still, this is what needed for the first homework to start. Apart from that, there was a question in, yes, yeah. So there was a question regarding the export and import of databases. So let us do one thing. Yes. So there are two databases which we are created here. Okay. I can just say backup. You can just click on the database, right click, give a backup, and try to give a location. Okay. So for example, I have given download, what can say, home. So I can just dump option. You can give this, okay, pre-data, data, and post data. For backup, it is not needed, but still you can give it, and you can just give a backup. It will just back up your database. Okay, so it will just save us a file, and we will try to restore it. Before that, we will just delete this. Okay. Okay. Now the database is not there, so we will just create one testing tool. And this is, as of now, you don't have to do anything. You can just create it. It will just create a database. After creating a database, you can just right click it, restore. If you restore, it will just ask for custom tar or something. So if you are using some other format, you can just mention it. You can just click on it and it will have the homework. Before restoring, go to the restore option, click on pre-data, post-data, and the data, so that you will be able to modify the data which you are importing. Okay. Apart from that, no need to change anything. I haven't changed anything. So I guess if you have any other option you want to change it, you can change it. So you can just restore it, and I guess it should have the tables which we did actually. Yes. So these are the tables which is already there. Okay. This is how you will restore and backup their database. Okay. One more feature which is there in this database is this one. So whatever thing you need as an SQL query, for example, in your assignments, you have to write the theory part and also the SQL part of it. So after you have done your SQL testing and everything, you can just script create. So whatever the table is needed, it will be created as a script in a new SQL window, which you can use it. Okay, if you want, or if you are going to save it in a separate file, that's your option. So you can use in that way. Uh, and apart from that, you can also, I guess, yes. So for example, you have some tables and you are trying to import some data to the table, for example, purchase, and I can just go to tools, import and export, and I can just select the CSV file or text file separated by comma, whatever, and I can just import directly to the table. This also will be handy if you're handling like 100,000 rows of data and you are trying to add some more data to it. And apart from that, did I cover everything? I guess uh I guess I would say this is fine for the first session. I don't want to put a lot of data onto that. Some questions: how to save .sql file? It's a good question actually. Uh, so for example, wait. So once you have done your SQL part, okay, there is a save button here. You can just save it as an SQL file, or if you want to open an SQL file from the directory, you can just open from there. So that is the option. Thanks for that question. Actually, I forgot. And apart from that, if you have time, please, I mean, whoever hasn't attended the previous course, try to go through the ER modeling theoretically, because whatever it is there. So uh, in the attribute, you can see the project ID is underlined, right? So if it is underlined, that is a key attribute that we can say as a primary key of that particular table. And there are four types of attributes: key attribute, composite attribute, multivariate attribute or something, and derived attribute or one more. So you can just go through on those things and let me know if you have any doubt or something on that. And also, if you are not familiar with SQL, you can just go through some basics apart from this. And I would say the first assignment would be straightforward. If you use that extract and the do data of the week commands. Okay. And next week we will go a little bit towards the partition, and the next part of the SQL will not discuss the basics again. And do we have any questions till now? Again, 40 minutes. That fast. I guess two people are there. Yep.